Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Okay, we're on page 186 of your book. So it says section 5. I will chant that and we'll just recap that and then move forward. Vijñānam yajñam tanute karmāni tanute picha Vijñānam deva sarve brahma jeshtam upasate Vijñānam brahma chedveda tasmācchena pramadhyati sharire papmano hitva sarvan kaman samashnuta iti tasyaisha eva sharira atma yaf purvasya tasmadva etasmad vijñānamayat anyontara atma ānandamaya Tenaisha purnaha sava esha purusha vida eva tasya purusha vidatam anvayam purusha vidaha tasya priyameva shiraha modo dakshinah pakshaha pramoda uttarah pakshaha ānanda atma brahma puchham pratishtha tadapyesha shloko bhavati. So we saw that the vijñānamaya-kośa, the intellectual sheath, is the one that's considered as Brahman. Why? Because it is the doer of all actions. Through the vijñānamaya-kośa, everything is accomplished. We're able to think, we're able to perform actions, and everything follows the vijñānamaya-kośa. Meaning our intellectual decisions are what guides our minds, our body, our senses. So everything is guided by the intellect. So maybe the vijñānamaya-kośa is Brahman because it's supreme. It's the one that guides everybody. And here we saw that the vijñānamaya-kośa, the pucha, the tail, is mahat. So if we were able to make the vijñānamaya-kośa in a human form, then shraddha, faith, is the head. Ritam is the right. Ritam, righteousness, or that universal law, is the right side. Satyam is the left side. Yoga is the core. And mahat, or that total intellect, is the tail. And this actually tells us to live, or how to live our lives. If we start with faith, then Shravanam is seamless. We don't have any blocks when we're listening to someone. And then Ritam, the right side, symbolizes that Mananam. After listening, to be able to sit back, to reflect, to really think deeply about it is called Ritam. And this assimilation really helps us in transformation, which is then the Satyam. Satyam is when everything becomes integrated into my life. It's truth. And Atma, the core, is everything starts to connect. My whole life is about one thing. And the tail of this is called Mahat. When we connect with totality, when we realize that individuality is not different from totality. Just a word I'll share about Ritam. Nowadays, that is absolutely missing, the ability to reflect and to assimilate, because all of us want to be hyper efficient at everything. So we try to do so many things in so little time, and we use AI, which is wonderful, but we're not really assimilating anything. We're not really thinking deeply about anything. And if we don't think deeply, if we don't take time to just be present, there's no transformation that's going to happen. And spiritual life is about transformation. It's not accumulation of knowledge. It's really that assimilation of it. So that ability to think, to reflect, to then use it, integrate it into our lives, so much so that it becomes a core foundation. And then when we use this and we connect to totality, then not only our individual law is preserved, but the universal law is preserved also. When somebody in the vijñānamaya-kośa connects to that totality, sharire pap mano hitva drops that identification with individuality, sarvan kaman samashnuta iti. Then that being attains all desires. Why? Because when somebody very, very noble starts to desire something for the benefit of others, so many people come forward to help, and thus those desires are realized and they're made visible. So that's why here it says sarvan kaman samashnuta. Now today we're going to go to the ānandamaya-kośa. So this is going to be in page 189 of your book. So it starts from tasyesha eva sharira atma yav purvasya. So of the prior one, tasya purvasya, of the prior one, which is of the vijñānamaya-kośa, there is esha eva sharira atma. This ānandamaya now is the embodied self. So we're dropping the vijñānamaya as Brahman. We're going now to ānandamaya-kośa. Tasmadva etasmat vijñānamayat. So from that vijñānamaya-kośa, anyontara atma, inner to that, subtler to that vijñānamaya, that which governs the vijñānamaya. So this antara means inner to it, subtler to it, that which governs it, that is called ānandamaya. Tenesha purnaha. By that ānandamaya, vijñānamaya is filled. Sava esha purusha vida eva. It again takes the form of a being. Purusha vida takes the form of a being. Tasya purusha vidatam. And this form, anvayam purusha vidaha. It follows the previous form. It follows the previous form. So again, this will have a head, right side, left side. It has the core and the tail. So what is the head? Priya. Tasya priyameva shiraha. Modo dakshina pakshaha. Moda is the right side. Pramoda uttara pakshaha. Pramoda is the left side. Ānanda atma. Bliss is the core. Brahma pucham pratishta. And the tail is Brahman. Tad apyesha shloko bhavati. About this, there's a verse that follows. So let's look at the parts for this ānandamaya-kośa. We had discussed this priya, moda, pramoda in Panchadashi chapter 3, but let's take a little deeper look here. In this example, it's going into subtle gradations. So we know for a fact that in priya, moda, pramoda, what they are is they are gradations of bliss. And they are gradations of bliss when we drop the object. So not when we have the object, but when we drop the object. Because when we have the object and we feel bliss, that comes in manomaya-kośa. That's a mental thought. But when we drop the object and we feel bliss, that is ānandamaya-kośa. So an example here is priya. Priya is when we see that object and we go inwards. We see that object and we say, there's a very silent, peaceful pause or sense of awe. Let's say somebody's going for a hike and they're hiking to the top of a mountain. So when you see the top of the mountain from the bottom, there's a sense of, there's a pause, there's a silence where you drop the object and you just go inward. And then moda is when you're actually walking up the mountain and you're about to reach that place. So it is, you're gaining it. You're about to reach that place. Again, there's a subtle sigh. There's a subtle going inward that you're reaching that place. And then pramoda is when you actually make it to the top. You almost become one with that. You become one with the view. And when you're there, your eyes just close and you go completely inward. So in all these steps, we are dropping the object, but we can see that the pramoda gradation is much, much deeper because that's when the object actually becomes one with you. Another example they give is of a sweet. So if we're seeing our favorite chocolate or cake, we see it, and again, in priya, we just pause, we're in bliss. And then we have it in our hand, that's moda. We're so excited, it's in our hand, and then we go inward. And pramoda is when we finally eat it and relish it and go inward. So this bliss has gradation. And ānanda atma. Ānanda atma means this is a general kind of bliss. It is not the bliss of Atman. This is a general kind of bliss that expresses as priya, moda, pramoda. That is the core. And this bliss, it guides the vijñānamaya-kośa because guess why we're making decisions to do what we want to do? It's because we want to be happy. We're not deciding to do anything because we want to be sad. All our decisions are guided by the fact that this will make me happy, therefore I'm going to do it. So this is the governing principle. And the source of all of this is Brahman. Brahma here is Brahman. Brahman, puchham pratishta. Brahman is that tail. Because where is all of the happiness coming from? If we really think about it, where is all of the happiness coming from? We think it's from the object. We think this particular object is making us happy. But by this priya, moda, pramoda, we can very clearly see that we're dropping the object. We're dropping the object to revel in bliss. So the joy is not coming from the object. Every time we feel a deep sense of joy, we close our eyes. That is direct proof that the joy is not coming from the object. The joy is actually when we drop the object, when we go within, the mind becomes incredibly still. And when the mind becomes incredibly still, Brahman, our reality, it's able to shine forth as it is. There's no more ripples. If you think about a reflection in water, so think about the bliss of Brahman is like a reflection that's shining on water. And when the water is so still, it's fully felt. We fully feel that bliss. But when the water is murky or it's disturbed, it's shaky, we don't really feel that bliss because the mind is agitated. And when the water has too much dirt, there's too much negativity, we really don't feel that bliss. So all that's happening here is the mind is becoming quiet, we drop the object, and we feel that bliss manifest in our mind. That's how we become happy. We actually become happy by renunciation and not by accumulation. It is the contrary. We think that when we accumulate things, we become happy. Actually, no. When we renounce things, we become very happy. Think about your happiest time of your day, right? It's in deep sleep. And what are we doing for deep sleep? We're renouncing everything. We're renouncing all the people we love. We're renouncing all of the objects, all experiences, everything. Renounce, 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 and we feel bliss. So bliss comes from tyaga, from renunciation. Kasya sukham na karoti viragaha. In Bhaja Govindam it says, who, except for the one who has dispassion, will truly have bliss? Now, in this area, in the commentary, there's a discussion. I thought it's a very interesting discussion, so we can explore it a little bit. A question comes as to, is this ānandamaya, is it referring to Atman or is it referring to the kosha or the sheath? So is this ānandamaya-kośa or is this ānandamaya-atma? And the answer is, it is karyatma. This is an effect. This is an effect because if you remember how we started with Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam Brahma. That Brahman, which is existence, consciousness, bliss, which is known in our intellect. The cave of the heart or in the intellect, it is known there. And that Brahman expresses as Atma. That Brahman and Atma is the same. Out of that Brahman, which is Atma, came space, then air, then fire, then water, then earth, and then came the being. And then from the being, we went to the food sheath. Then we went to the vital air sheath, the mental sheath, the intellectual sheath, and now we came to the bliss sheath. So because it's an effect of all of this, this has to be ānandamaya-kośa. It's not Atma. And these now are 8 reasons he gives. 8 reasons why we need to take this as ānandamaya-kośa. The first reason is adhikaratvat. Adhikaratvat means the topic that is going on is about the sheaths. So this ānandamaya surely refers to sheaths. This is just to help us understand how Upanishads are presented. Sometimes the word Atma can mean so many things. Sometimes the word Sharira can also mean so many things. So here he says, this is the topic going on. It's of sheaths. Therefore, this is the bliss sheath. Second is Mayet Shabdat. Mayet Shabdat means here when we add Maya, Maya has 2 meanings. Maya, the word Maya can mean full of, or the word Maya can mean a modification of. And in all of the sheaths so far, let's say Annamaya, it means modification of food. Pranamaya, modification of air. So because we've been using modification, in this case also, it's a modification. ānandamaya, a modification of bliss. The third one is sankramanat. Sankramanat means that later on it is going to be talked about attaining ānandamaya-kośa, meaning crossing over ānandamaya-kośa. So attaining it, coming to ānandamaya-kośa, and then crossing over. Now here it says that our Atman, our true self, can never be attained. It can never be attained because it is not produced by anything. See, the happiness in the world is produced by action, or it's produced by contemplation or spiritual practices. So when we act in the world, when we put forth effort, then we attain something and we feel happy about it. So we work very hard on something and we get the result. We feel very happy about it. We're able to put in a lot of hours at work and go on a vacation. We're very happy about it. Or it's gained through spiritual practices. When the mind becomes quiet and we get into a deep contemplation, we feel very happy. All of these things are produced. They are produced through effort. But Atma is never produced, is never attained by any effort. We cannot attain Atma. It is our effortless nature. So if we are doing any karma, action in the world, any upasana, any contemplative practice, that is not to attain Atma, because Atma cannot be produced by any of these practices. The only thing that these practices will do is they will remove obstacles of us thinking that we are bound. That's all that they will do. They will remove the notion that I am bound. The fourth one is asambhavat. Asambhavat means that we cannot attain ourselves. We cannot attain ourselves. So it says that this ānandamaya is to be attained, as I said, and it's to be crossed over. So this ānandamaya cannot refer to Atma because we simply cannot attain ourselves. Now I'll give you an example. Let us say that you are a very famous singer, a very, very famous concert singer, and you have a concert coming up. And on the way to the stadium, let's say, you are going to perform, but you are in disguise because you don't want anyone to know that it's you. And while you're going outside of the stadium, while you're outside ready to go into the stage, somebody's trying to sell you a concert ticket of your concert. Somebody's trying to say, hey, can you buy a ticket for this concert? I'll give you a really good price. Are you going to buy it? No, you don't need to buy it because you are the concert. It's your concert. If you're not there, there's no concert happening, right? You don't need a ticket for it. You're the one enlivening the whole concert. Now, while this example might seem very, very strange, that's exactly what we're doing, right? We are the ones that enliven this whole world, meaning consciousness enlivens this whole world. Now, we enliven this whole world, and then we are running after things that we have enlivened. So we enliven this world, we enliven this place, this time, these things, these situations, these circumstances. From our light, everything shines. But what are we doing? We're running after the shine. But the shine is coming from us. So we cannot attain ourselves because everything is already us. What are we going to attain? Everything is already us. So instead of saying, I want this, I want that, I want to go here, I want to go there, I am the light which makes that shine. I am the light which makes that shine. How can I actually attain it? It is me already. Me attaining it is a whole drama that I don't need to play. We don't need to play. Why are we going to sweat and toil and go through this rat race to attain ourselves? So the Atman is impossible to attain because it is you yourself. We need not attain it. It is self-realized. It is our own self. It's our own self. Now the next one. He says, Shiradi kalpana nupapattehe. This simply means that Atman cannot have this head, this right side, this left side, this core, and this tail. The minute that you put all of this in, it is not Atman because Atman is partless. So the fact that you have this metaphor of this being that has a head, right side, left side, core, and tail, that's not Atman. The sixth one says, Vishesha poha shrutibhyascha. Meaning, in our scriptures, all particularities are negated. There's no gradation in Atman. There's no gradation, there's no form, there's no feeling of Atman. While these levels of happiness like priya, moda, pramoda, they're felt. They have a gradation, they have some kind of form. None of that exists in Atman. It doesn't have any gradation, it doesn't have any form, it doesn't have any feeling. It just is. The seventh one says, Mantrodāharana nupapattehe, meaning the upcoming quotation would be invalid. Upcoming quotation says, the one who doesn't believe in Brahman doesn't exist. Well, that cannot be for, that is Brahman. So that has a separate topic. This is a separate topic. That's a separate topic. So the topic here is ānandamaya-kośa, and after this, then it will be the topic of Brahman. And the final one, it says, Brahma pucham pratishtam anupapannam, meaning that because it says Brahman is the tail, the whole thing cannot be Brahman. Brahman is the tail, so it cannot be that the head is Brahman, the right side is Brahman, the left side is Brahman, the core is Brahman, Brahman is the tail. So Brahman is the tail, which clearly says that the tail is Brahman and everything else is not Brahman. So therefore, this is talking about ānandamaya-kośa. It's not talking about ānandamaya Atma or Brahman. Right? Now, what happens here is he goes into this experience of positive existence. This is the next section. It's in your book, page 194. And why he goes into this is after crossing over the 5 koshas. So we have analyzed each of the 5 koshas, and now we have said that Brahman is the tail. Brahman is the pucha, is the tail, meaning is the foundation, is the source of all of this. But what is that Brahman? Is that Brahman existence or non-existence? So here he brings up this point now on 194. I'll just chant the first part of this portion. Asanneva sabhavati asad brahmeti veda chet asti brahmeti chet veda santamenam tato viduriti. we'll stop there. Here it says, asan eva sabhavati. So if he believes that Brahman is asat, asat means non-existence. If somebody believes that Brahman is non-existence, he becomes non-existent. So this bhavati is actually becomes. Asan eva sabhavati. So he, saha, asan bhavati, becomes non-existent. He becomes non-existent. Who? Asad brahmeti veda chet. The one who knows veda chet, if he knows Brahman to be asat. So the one who knows Brahman to be asat becomes non-existent. Asti brahmeti ched veda. The one who knows Brahman to be existent or existence, santamenam tato viduhu iti. They say that he is existent. So if he knows Brahman as non-existent, he becomes himself non-existent. If he knows Brahman as existent, then the world knows him to be existent. Now, this is a very, very beautiful section. What do we mean by this? Here, when somebody knows Brahman to be non-existent, two things happen. First thing is, there is no pursuit of something higher. So if we don't believe that there is something called Brahman, there's no pursuit of something higher. And the second thing is, there is no chance for real bliss. There's no chance. Now, please note that this is not just in Vedanta here, but this is in all religions. Where there is the pursuit of something higher, then everybody in society is safe. When there is no pursuit of something higher, then everybody is in distraught. The idea here is, the commentary is very, very beautiful. It says that when we are pursuing something higher, when we are seeking something higher, we follow a code of morality in life. We follow some kind of code. And in Sanatana Dharma, that code is called dharma. Because that reality cannot be realized until and unless there is some purity that happens in the individual. Until and unless there's some kind of rubbing and going through so many things. It's almost like the example that Swami Chinmayanandaji gives is, when you want the diamond to shine brilliantly, you have to sand it down. You have to sand it, rub it, polish it, go through all of these purificatory practices so that it shines forth. So dharma for us is that these practices which really scrub us and polish us and really rub us so that we shine forth and are able to understand ourselves or recognize ourselves. Now, what is this dharma? The dharma that is given here in the Bhasha is very beautiful. It says Varna Ashrama Dharma. Varna Ashrama. Varna refers to the color of our personality. So all of us have to follow the color of our personality. And there are 4 colors. So one color is of a thinker. There are some personalities that are inherently able to think deeply because they have predominantly sattvic traits, then rajasic, then tamasic. So they are able to visualize, to think clearly, to create ideas, to do research. They're the thinkers of society. Therefore, they should express themselves in these fields where they can envision, where they can guide, where they can research, where they can invent. They express themselves in these fields because that's the color of their mind. The next color is the color of rulers and administrators. So they have the Rajasic mind with Sattvic. Rajasic with Sattvic and then Tamasic. When the mind has this kind of combination, they're best expressed as rulers, as administrators, as people who manage, who delegate, who run. So we can see this as politicians, our police force, rulers. This is best suited for them. The next color of the personality now is Rajasic, followed by Tamasic and Sattvic. These are the entrepreneurs or people who are into commerce. And the way they best express themselves is through creating wealth or resources or investments or philanthropy. These are the fields where they will really excel. And note that each one of them is creating inner harmony and also outer harmony. Because when we do what is natural to us, we enjoy it most and we cannot help but succeed. And therefore we carry that to serve the world. When we enjoy what we do, it carries over to the world. It creates a harmony in the world also. The fourth one is a color where there's tamas and then there's rajas and sattva. So these are the workers of society, those who support in various aspects. They may support through being in different tasks, different tasks to help store, to help bring, to help deliver, to help clean, to help maintain. They also have that ability to express and serve society in those particular methods. So the first thing is we have to know, what is our mind like? If we think of the example of Einstein, let's say, right? Einstein, and just looking at his life, how when he was a young boy, his favorite toy was a compass. And he loved mathematics and science. He was very curious. So it was very clear that the color of his mind was geared towards research and curiosity. That was the best way that he would grow and evolve, and that was the best way he would serve the world. Now, if somebody told Einstein, you have to be a businessman, that'd be terrible for him. Now, he would suffer inside, and the world would lose out on such a great person. So when we follow this aspect of understanding the color of our personality, then we get into the field of our natural aptitude, but we are also best able to serve the world. So one is this dharma called Varna dharma. The next dharma is called ashrama dharma. Ashrama dharma is when we stick to our particular stage in life. So the first part of our life, about 25 years or so, is the life of a student. Next part of the life is a life of married life, till about 50 or so. After that is the retired age, what we call vanaprastha. And then after that is what we call sannyasa. Usually, when we look at traditional texts, one would live up to 100 years, and then a quarter of it would be the student life. Then the next quarter would be married life, next quarter retired life, and finally sannyasa, renunciation. But nowadays, we don't live that long, so we have to adjust accordingly. but keep the spirit. So just imagine in the student life where one's focus is supposed to be study and discipline, if they start getting into family too young, or if they decide they want to retire, that's also not right for that age. That age, everybody should just be focused on studying, discipline, developing right habits, because they're going to go into family life. And in the next stage of family life, when people are married, yes, they should study. Yes, should do spiritual practices. But the focus of married life is to bring up a family that will help contribute to the benefit of society. So somebody cannot push aside the family for their own a quest at that time, especially when the children are young, when they're just born. One cannot do that, because the main dharma of householders is to raise a family that will be positive contributors to society and also serve society. That's the main focus. When the children start to get older, start to leave the house, and one is slowly moving into retirement, then the core dharma there is inner contemplation and silence, to do study and to also spend time in contemplation. The dharma there is introversion. It's not anymore to go out and do this and that and travel the world. It's really becoming more introvert, because the physical body is about to drop soon. And one has to get that abidance in the self. So the dharma there is introversion. And then finally, of course, in sannyasa, the dharma is realization of the self. That's it. And there are some who don't go through all four. They go straight to sannyasa. That's also accepted in our culture. But for the most part, everybody goes through all four and stays in their dharma so that it creates a harmonious society. If we don't stay in our dharma, if we compromise, then again it causes a lot of ripples in society. And that's how we see today that many times the children are maybe confused because they didn't get that time, that attention, that love, support, and care that they would have gotten if they were nurtured, especially in their younger stages of life. When all of this is kept, being in our specific ashrama and being in our specific varna, this is a purification process. It purifies us to grow more and more selfless and to grow more and more inward. The whole dharma is designed that way. That's why it's there. So when coming back to the main overarching topic, when somebody believes in the existence of something higher, what they do is they practice this moral life of dharma or whatever it is as per their religion, so that they become pure, they help themselves, and they help all of society. But for somebody who does not believe in any higher thing, higher goal, higher ideal, then there's no chance of dharma. In the commentary, it says that this person is a sadhu. This person is not a sadhu. This person will cause a lot of disorder in the world because there's no belief in morality. And also, the one who believes in Brahman or something higher, then they have a chance for that ultimate realization, that ultimate bliss. The one who does not believe in that higher, will have no chance for it. They will think that the worldly bliss that we're feeling is what we're supposed to feel. So many times we feel like we're supposed to feel pressure. We're supposed to feel stress. We're supposed to feel tired and exhausted. But that's actually completely wrong. We're not supposed to feel all of that. We have lost who we are, and that's why we're feeling all of that. So if there's nothing higher that we pursue, we lose out on this bliss that our great saints and sages have experienced. We completely lose out. And we get stuck in complacency. And we think this is all there is to life. That's the worst mistake. In Viveka Chudamani, it says, Pramado vai mrityuhu. Inadvertence is death. When we get complacent on the spiritual path, that's as good as death, because we lose the highest pursuit, highest truth. The Bhagavad Gita also, there's a beautiful portion that says, what if somebody is just a good person, but doesn't have any scripture, doesn't have any scripture in their life, doesn't have any shastra? What about them? Won't they live a decent life? They're good, they're good, they're kind, they're generous, they're humble, but they don't have shastra. So what about them? And it says there, they're good and noble, that's fine, but they will not realize their full potential. It is like if you buy an Instapot, right? And now that Instapot can make so many things. It can make yogurt, it can make soup, it can make rice, it can cook vegetables. But what if you get that Instapot, spend so much money, and all you do is boil water? Right? So it's like that. Means we have the capacity to be so much more. But without the guidelines of scriptures, we cannot do that. So the one who believes in Brahman, that person actually becomes Brahman. That person becomes existent because they are able to then live a life of dharma, and they're able to realize the highest, which is Brahma. But the one who does not believe in it becomes as good as non-existent. Non-existent in the sense they live a life of adharma, and not understanding their true potential. And non-existent because they fail to realize the highest truth. So this is what it says. Today we'll stop here, just give this a little bit of thought, and then next week we will pick up from here. Next week we will then talk about proofs of the existence of Brahman. Now we talked so much about Brahman exists. Well, can you give me proof? And in the Taittiriya Upanishad, actually, it will go through certain proofs to tell us that yes, there is Brahman, and keep turning within, and we will realize it. Okay? So I'll just summarize what we have done today. Today we have seen ānandamaya-kośa, and this ānandamaya-kośa has that shira, the head as priya, the right side as moda, left side as pramoda, and ānanda, general bliss, as the core, and Brahman as the tail. And this is definitely ānandamaya-kośa, not ānanda as Brahman, because this has parts, this has gradation, this is a feeling, and also because Brahman is said to be the tail. So that means all of these parts are different from Brahman. So therefore, this is talking about ānandamaya-kośa. And many, many more reasons we saw. Now, the question was, after ānandamaya-kośa, after you transcend them, all the sheaths, is there something or is there nothing? And so what is said here is there is something. And the one who knows Brahman to be existent becomes existent because they live fully and they realize the highest bliss. The one who knows Brahman to be non-existent becomes non-existent because they fail to reach their potential and they lose their chance of discovering who they truly are. Okay, let's say the closing prayer. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.